those that might know me, don't have any expectations. Well, I am a Horton. I moved here in '79, not knowing that Marshall is filled with Hortons. Many of them are married to Hortons. They're not related, and I'm not related to them. But one of the first times I came here was in the early '70s. I had a friend that was a spelunker, and he brought me over from Tulsa. One particular weekend, he and I and two friends drove over from Tulsa early one Saturday morning, and we drove down to near Irby Church. This was back before the park actually purchased a lot of the houses that were there. So there's this little house next to the spring house, a beautiful house. It was lined with pine on all the inside, floor, walls, ceiling. It's two-story, beautiful. That's gone now. But we parked there and we hiked up the mountain to Beauty Cave. We spent about 14 hours in the cave. We got lost in the in-and-out room, and fortunately we made it out. The way I remember it, we ran down the hill. We were very young at the time. We got in my little Volkswagen station wagon and backed out to head home to Tulsa at 3 in the morning. And the car died. And we're in the middle of nowhere as far as I know. And I'm not a mechanic, and no one else was. But we figured out that when I backed up, the tailpipe had ran into the edge of the dirt road where they had graded it. So we just pushed the car away from that dirt, and I was able to drive back home. But that's not the story I came to tell. Back then too, we could actually drive down Center Point Road. The houses were still there. The book that was written about Center Point Road, I forget her name, but there was a lady that lived there that was featured in the book. Yes, Granny Henderson. We drove all the way down to the river. Hemden Hollow is nearby. And two of my daughters, we camped there. And there was only one other camper there. And they were across the river, and they had a van with the door open. And they were some young kids, I guess. The way I remember it then too, they were playing punk music. And it was very loud. And it was 10:30 at night, and between songs I had to yell out, "Please turn your music down." Because in the valley, the sound just carried forever. But that's not the story I came to tell you. I didn't come to tell you about the time that I was skinny dipping at Cove Creek, where the waterfall is, and some locals came to bathe in the creek. I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm not going to tell you about the time I walked on the path from Ponca towards Steel Creek before they got the new bridge, and there's a place where the water would flow down and over. Dang, I'm all over this thing. And it would flow over the bluff, and from that vantage point, I watched what looked like a rattlesnake eat a fish on a big boulder. That was really dramatic. But that's not my story either. The story that I really came to tell, some people might not believe it, but I saw this with my own eyes, and it's sort of in the same realm as a UFO, maybe. Just on 7th South here, Mockingbird Hill, I have a little cabin, and it sits on the back side, on the east side of the mountain. So I have a view up the lower part of the valley. And so it was one spring day, much like today. And it was getting toward evening, and I'm sitting out on the back deck, and the trees have fully leafed out. And I hear this incredible racket, this loud, obnoxious flock of crows were off here to the left. I couldn't really see them, but there were so many of them, and they were just being as loud and obnoxious as they could be. And it was curious that they would be so loud. And as I sat there, the birds started moving a little bit more in front of me, and they were filling the trees. I would estimate there were 50. It was only when they got a little bit to the left of me that I saw why they were making all that noise. And there on the ground, strolling, totally unconcerned about the birds above that were making all this racket, was this cat. And this thing, he stood about 2.5 feet tall, and he was muscular, and he had this long brown tail. He was brown and blonde, and he slowly strolled over the ridge, and the birds followed him the whole way. And he disappeared in the darkness. And sometimes during a full moon, especially when the light's bright, kind of like last night, when you sit out on the deck and you look out, kind of like I did last night. I mean, I look really close. I think I could see 2 little eyes gleaming back at me. But I'm not really sure that's what I saw. That's it.